But
Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. We're going to be talking about doing top shelf spy movies of the 2010s, and it's definitely going to be a really interesting list. But here we've got Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Happy New Year to you all. I'm here to have fun, and yes, spy movie. I loved him. They have a lot of good ones for this decade.
And we've also got Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, I was surprised by how many there were when I was looking through lists of spy movies of this decade.
And we've got Aaron here. Aaron, how's it going?
Good. And I'm curious to see like how far we stretch the definition of spy, because sure, there's the action stuff, but there's also stuff that's not action you could technically count as spy, and I definitely thought of some of those, so I'm curious to see where we go tonight.
And last one on the list, we got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
yeah, good man. Always good to be on the show. And there is surprisingly a lot of good spy movies in the 2010s. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what makes this list.
But for that being said, how this works is we're all going to go around in a panel and nominate a movie we think belongs on the top shelf spy movies of the 2010s. And then everyone has to say yes or no to it. And then if it makes the list, then at the end of the show, we're going to rank them. Chris, what you're going to go first on this? What is the first spy movie you're going to bring up?
I don't even bring up the one I think they'll bring up now. It's probably getting rejected later unless somebody bring up. I don't even bring up probably my favorite spy movie of this decade. Very not your typical spy movie, but a great movie about traitor Monday people arguing about who the traitor is. My favorite Gary Oldman performance in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It really intense movie with dialogue, not a lot of action, but it's pretty intense. Gary Oldman gave a phenomenal performance. You did see why he got hit for Oscar nomination for this. He is great in this. He should have won an Oscar for this. Like, especially the plane thing they interrogating one there, like the airport field. Like, and Comfort, Marshall, like they let go on the performance is great. Intense movie. There's some great twists and turns. And the dialogue is top notch. If anybody that haven't seen it yet, really say you should check out to see Gary Oldman's best performance he ever given any movie. Like,
Stephen, what do you say about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yeah, I knew this was going to be brought up because I know people love this movie. I thought it was okay, but to be honest with you, I thought it was kind of dull for a lot of it. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up making the list, but I'm probably going to say no.
Aaron, what do you say about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yeah, I do think it's an excellent film. I don't know if I'd say it's Oldman's best performance, like if we're singling it out as the best, but it certainly is up there. There's a lot of great performances in this film. And yeah, as I said earlier, like when I was going through and doing research, I feel like most people assume the spy film or like the action films. That's what a lot of people go to immediately. And this is a great example of one that isn't. So I would say yes.
Richie, what do you say about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yeah, I do really like this film. It's definitely more aligned with spy as opposed to just your action spy hybrid. It's and I can understand if people might find it kind of dull, but the dialogue is is great. I also probably wouldn't say it's Gary Oldman's best performance, but it is definitely up there. You would be in the conversation for sure. But I think this deserves to be in this list. It's like you full on. It's a quintessential spy movie, and so yeah, I would say yes.
And it does, with that, it makes the list. This is one I was meant to watch for this because I knew it was bound to come up. I just couldn't find it on the streaming service before me. But with that being said, it's making the list regardless. Move over to Stephen.
I'm gonna go with The Debt, which is with a movie that takes place kind of in two time periods. The present time, which has Helen Mirren and Tom Wilkinson and Syrian Hines playing the older versions. The younger versions were flashbacks. They're played by Jessica Chastain, Martin Sokas. I think I never know if I'm pronouncing that guy's name right or not. And Sam Wilson. And it's the younger versions. They're sent to capture and bring over this Nazi terrorist, but this Nazi played by I don't remember the actor's name, but he appears in some of the Bond movies. And
Jesper Christensen or something like that.
Yes, that's him.
Yeah.
And things don't go as planned, and they end up instead letting people know that instead of unable to capture him, they say that he ends up getting killed, but he actually ended up escaping. And you've got the the 90s timeline, which they find out where he is, and I just think I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a really good movie, great performances. So yeah, The Debt is, I think, a great movie. I don't know if a lot of people have seen it, but it's a great movie.
Aaron, what do you say about The Debt?
Yeah, so I'm exactly in that category. It's a film I'm aware of because I know Matthew Vaughn was involved in the making of it, I believe, as a writer or a producer. But it's one that I've never seen, so I can't actually give an opinion on it.
Richie, what do you say about The Debt?
I'll say shout outs for bringing it up. It is sort of one you wouldn't think of. It's Helen Mirren's like really good in it. It's a very intense movie. I just don't know if I would put it on the best of the 2010s. It's good, but I just feel like maybe there's others that are more deserving of the list. So I'd say no, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to watch this for this list because it's one that came up and I could watch it. I just didn't have the time to watch it after rewatching something I knew I was going to bring up and all that. So yeah, Chris, what do you say? What would you have said about The Debt?
Yeah, I don't have to say no about it. A fine movie. I remember seeing in college that was it well, but I think the past stuff are more interesting than present stuff. Why?
Aaron, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
So actually, since the last film involved Matthew Vaughn, I'm going to go to the other one from this decade that involves him. I'm going to go with Kingsman: The Secret Service. I think it's one of the best examples of a spy film that's also a comedy without having to necessarily slip into parody. I mean, obviously, it is making fun of tropes within the genre, but I would not call this a parody film. It is a legit film within its own right. I think it was a great debut for Taron Egerton. Colin Firth's really exceptional in it. Sam Jackson as the bad guy really works. It is legitimately funny. It's got some really well choreographed action, specifically the church scene with Colin Firth, which is not only just well envisioned, but also kind of choreographed and set to Freebird by Leonard Skinner. Just the whole thing from conception ground up is really intriguing. And without giving it away, because I do still think it's an exceptional film, there are one or two twists in the movie. And if somehow you're not aware of this, people who are at the start of the film, seemingly major characters are taken out of the film much quicker than you would assume. And I like that it has the balls to do that because, that's kind of the thing with like a lot of these franchises that it is kind of taking notes from is, the people that are established as your heroic leads are usually safe. It's very rarely they're put in any kind of danger where they die. So I like that it has the balls to use its R rating and go down that path. I just think it's a great comedy, it's a great action film, and it's a legitimately good spy film.
Richie, what do you say about Kingsman: The Secret Service?
Yeah, Kingsman blew me away when it first, when it first released. Yeah, and just and yeah, I just the action and the comedy and like it kind of sort of Colin Firth sort of like reinvented himself as like this sort of action guy. He was usually just in these sort of dramas or sort of rom-coms. You didn't even think he could be like this action guy, and he kicks ass. That church scene alone is one of the best like scenes like in like an action film, in my opinion. It's so great. Yeah, and then I like the sort of the twist where there's people you die you don't expect. You're like, oh shit, yeah, and I like how wacky. I love Samuel L. Jackson. He's so great. Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, yes. Yeah.
I just want to say, I personally didn't say it. Nobody else should feel the need to step around it. That was just me.
Yeah.
It has been 8 years.
Yeah. This is an absolute yes for me. Like, I rewatched this yesterday just to see if this held up, because I hadn't actually seen it since it initially came out, and it's just as great as I remembered it. And I mean, like, I love the inclusion of Mark Hamill in this movie, because in the original comic books, they actually just kidnapped Mark Hamill. He wasn't actually playing a character. So I like the fact that they twisted it a little bit and made Mark Hamill actually playing a character instead of just being him being the kidnapped. But Kingsman: The Secret Service is a really good movie, and it's absolutely yes. Chris, what would you have said about Kingsman?
Oh yeah, I loved the film. This is easily on my list. As much as The Secret tanked my feeling toward it, I still love the first one. I think it's fun and entertaining. The church scene is amazing. The action scene at the end is amazing. The characters are great. Also, another great film with Colin Firth in a spy movie. But yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And Stephen, what would you have said about Kingsman: The Secret Service?
So I actually saw the second one before I saw the first one. So that might be partly why I kind of actually prefer the second one. But the first one's still fairly enjoyable too. So I probably would have said yes.
But for that, Richie, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
All right. I mean, wasn't going to bring up a comedy this early, but why not? I think it's really enjoyable. We're talking about spy movies. Why not include Spy? I think this is one of Porky's great comedies. Miss McCarthy is great in it, and Rose Byrne is great as a villain. I didn't realize that Jason Statham had comedic chops. He is so great in this movie. He steals it. He steals every scene he's in. And I'm just I'm a huge fan of this movie. It does sort of maybe strain to parody a little bit, but I think it holds up as a spy movie as well. So I'm going to say Spy.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy is great when she's not with Ben Falcone. And Spy is one of those movies, because I watched this for the first time last year when we did Melissa McCarthy movies. I was going to actually rewatch it for this, but didn't get around to it. But yeah, Spy was a surprise movie for me. This is one that I didn't think would be good, but I was like, yeah, I'll watch it, because at that time we were doing Melissa McCarthy, so I had to. But yeah, it's a slight yes for me. Chris, what do you say about Spy?
A huge yes for me. I love this film. The Jason Statham putting all of the characters he played together into one character. I think it's the funniest shit ever. I love the way he read all the characters he played before. Rose Byrne hysterical as a villain. I love the little running gag with Melissa McCartney insulting her one guy that worked for Rose Byrne, and he just put insult into insult about him being a Sound of Music reject and all of these stuff. Her best friend is funny. The whole cast is funny. They easily, I go back and forth between this and my favorite one and my favorite Paul Feig movie, but I love this movie so much.
Stephen, what do you say about Spy?
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy is great when she's playing it straight. don't really care for her when she's playing, a quirky, bizarre character. And Jason Statham and Jude Law are both great in this, and Rose Byrne. So, yeah, I don't love it, but I like it, so I would say yes.
Aaron, what would you say about Spy?
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I would say it's worthy of the top 12. I'm not as hot on it as I am most people. I just generally don't love Melissa McCarthy at all. I feel even in good films, I feel like her humor is very one note. She's a solid dramatic actress, but as a comedian, I just don't love her. But the other stuff around her in this film, I do think makes it a very good film.
And if that Spy does make this list, and it's down to me to nominate, I'm gonna get this out of the way because someone's going to have to bring this up eventually. But let's go for Bond. Skyfall is probably the best Bond movie in this decade. If No Time to Die actually came out when it was supposed to, maybe that would be a good challenger. But unfortunately, it didn't, so it doesn't count. But Skyfall is great. I want to say that's Javier Bardem as the villain in this.
It is.
But yeah,
Raul Silva,
Javier
right?
Bardem was really captivating as the villain. And I didn't think they'd ever have the balls to kill off Judi Dench, M in this. M is one of those characters which, because Casino Royale was supposed to be like a reboot of the James Bond, but yet they kept him on through this, confusing the timeline for where that was going. But in saying that, I don't think they kill off M, but in saying that, I'm glad they did because I really do like Ray Fiennes as M more. Chris, what do you say is Skyfall?
You picked the right Bond movie and the only good Bond movie from this decade between the two of them. I love Skyfall. Javier Bardem is a phenomenal villain. His speech is one of the best creepy villain speech introduction from this decade. Great cast, Ben Richard, great. Ray Fiennes is great. Judi Dench give a really phenomenal performance. Yeah, we didn't get good Bond girl, but just for time we didn't have that much Bond girl in there. But everybody done great, giving great performance. The actors is great. The only thing I don't love is when they get a little bit too home alone at the end with the house and everything. But I love everything else. The teasing alone disturbed the hell out of me. Yeah, hell yeah, to Skyfall.
Now I want to see the prequel series, James Bond is Home Alone. Steve, what do you say about Skyfall?
Yeah, I love the Bond movies, and Skyfall is my favorite Bond movie. And this was Judi Dench's best outing as M, her strongest. Javier Bardem is great as Silva, one of the best Bond villains, and it's also probably the best looking of all the Bond movies. I mean, I think Roger Deakins did the cinematography, right?
That sounds right.
Yes.
Yeah, and so definitely a yes for me.
Aaron, what do you say about Skyfall?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you guys have said it all. It goes without saying this is a great film. I think it's a little harsh to say it's the only good one of the 2010s. I mean, Spectre is no Skyfall, but it's also not a terrible film. But yeah, it's a great film. The acting all around is really great, and I do like with this one how it plays to its strengths, which I think is the strength of all 5 of these films. They're really not like the Bourne films, or not Bourne films, excuse me. They're not like the Bond films of the past. They all do feel different. But this is the one where we sort of start to see that transition, where in one film we get a Moneypenny, we get a Q, we get the passing of the torch for M, all of it in one film, which I do like that aspect of it. But I mean, yeah, it goes without saying it's a great film.
And Richie, what you said about Skyfall?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Daniel Craig Bond film. I think everything about. I can't really up on about too much because you already kind of mentioned everything I was going to bring up. But yeah, Javier Bardem's great as a villain. yeah, it's just a great spy movie, and you can say Spectre's a bad movie. No, anyway, no, it's all good. But Skyfall's great. So yes, I would have said absolutely yes.
Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I not to go for the obvious yet because we do probably all say yes to a lot of the obvious. I do go with one from 2010. I think it one of the last good Bruce Willis roles. I see it funny. I see it entertaining, better than the second one. I go with Red. I think Red is ridiculously entertaining. I think the cast is good. Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich is very funny. Like especially John Malkovich, a lot of stuff he does is very funny. But Helen Mirren, like the cast is great. It's very funny. Carl Urban is great. Like tagging into Bruce Willis, the back and forth between them is great. It's a fun movie. Kind of like Spy. I had so much fun with it, and it made me laugh. We watch every now and then on TV. Yeah, they bring up Red.
Stephen, what do you say about Red?
I haven't seen this in a while, but I do remember thinking it was mildly enjoyable. I think Carl Urban's in this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was great, and Malkovich and Helen Mirren and Morgan Freeman, and they're all great. But I'm gonna say no, probably just because I wouldn't say it's one of the best 2010 spy movies.
Aaron, what do you say about Red?
I think it says everything that I put together a really wide list and search through every year, and I totally forgot this fucking exists. This and its sequel, if I'm being quite honest. I did see it once years ago, closer to when it came out, and I think it's fine, and I've never been encouraged to go back and watch it again, so I'm going to go with no.
Richie, what do you say about Red?
I do like Red. It never came on my radar as like a spy movie. I don't know. I just thought more of it's more action, but it does count, I guess. But it's just I never sort of made my consideration when it came to making this list. But yeah, and I'd argue that Bruce Willis puts on like a okay performance, but like the sort of the cast, the kind of high profile cast around him props him up a bit. So I wouldn't say he's like, I still think he's probably in that stage where he probably is getting a bit over it. But yeah, it's a decent film. But yeah, I probably just because I think there's other things being brought up that are more spy related. I would have said no.
Also, you say this. You think it's the last great Bruce Willis movie? Wasn't Looper a few years after this?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, last good movie. What I meant, I can't count Looper because that's not a spy movie.
Well, I mean, I know that, but I heard you say last good Bruce Willis performances. But anyway, that being said, I haven't seen Red, and this one it also didn't come up under my radar when I was looking for spy movies. But I mean, like after just reading synopsis, it counts. But
yeah, it is. But
yeah, but Stephen, we move on to you for your next nomination.
You know what? I'm gonna bring up Salt, which starts off kind of like this fugitive type story, where Angelina Jolie's character is accused of being a Russian spy. But they actually answer that whether she is or isn't pretty early on in the movie, surprisingly. So it goes to places that I didn't know it was going to go to, and the movie does get a little preposterous, I guess you could say, in the third act with the scenes in the White House. But then it leaves you off in a place that I was actually really looking forward to potential sequels that unfortunately never happened because I guess the movie didn't make enough money. But I really enjoyed Salt, and that's my next pick.
Aaron, what do you say about Salt?
For me, this one kind of falls into, I think in the 2010s, we got more female-led spy films than we'd had before, which I do think is great because I think having variety in the different types of spy films is good. Unfortunately, I don't love any of them. I think all of them are mediocre, and there's about 4 or 5 that are in my head right now. Salt is one of them. So I mean, I'd say yes, just because I think all of them are about equal. So any one of them being on the list in terms of having a place, I think they should. If Salt's the one that comes up, yeah, okay, I'll say yeah.
Richie, what do you say about Salt?
Yeah, like it's not like huge amount, but I did enjoy this movie quite a lot, and yeah, even though like the spy things are resolved very quickly, so I don't know if it's like a full-on spy thing movie, but I enjoyed this movie enough that like I think maybe the sort of the bottom tier of the 12 is fine, so I'd say yes.
Yeah, I literally just finished Salt just before we went live, and yeah, it's really enjoyable. And like I'm happily going to give this a yes. Chris, what did you have said about Salt?
Okay, I mean the odd one out. Yeah, I didn't like it that much when I saw it on DVD. Like, I think it wanted a film that I saw the alternate ending and it kind of tainted my feeling on it. I think a fine movie. I think the ending kind of crap out a little bit. I think go back to rewatch it now, maybe I have a better feeling on it because there were so many different endings to it on the DVD itself that I don't know which one I saw virtually. Like,
But with that, move over to Aaron. Aaron, what is your next nomination?
Bless you.
bless you.
I couldn't quite tell what it was. Okay. All right. I'm gonna shoot for one of my more like slightly outside the general like what you'd think of films. But I'm gonna go for one that I do think is a top tier film, and thus would be top tier on this list. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I think it's one of the few MCU films that successfully branches out and kind of cements itself in another genre. It's up there in terms of that. It's up there with like Ant-Man, which I feel is also a very good heist comedy in addition to being a Marvel superhero film. But absolutely, I mean, the Russos have talked about it publicly. 70s political thrillers were what inspired them to make this film. They've specifically cited 3 Days at the Condor, and so far as to have Robert Redford be in the film himself, which was part of the selling pitch to get him in the movie. And it absolutely is a spy thriller. A bulk of the film is Captain America and Black Widow on the run because their organization that they have dedicated, in Black Widow's case, a chunk of her life, in Captain America's case, the last couple of years to helping isn't what they thought it was. And now all of a sudden they're fugitives and they're on the run and they have allies from other places. And you have a heavier, I feel like this is the last time Fury really had a heavy influence on films. And he really brings the spy, I guess that's out of Captain Marvel, but he brings the spy edge to the film with all the secrets and not really knowing who to trust. And yeah, I think it's a great example of the MCU using the superhero formula and kind of blending it in with something else. I think if you take the general plot of this film, strip it of its comic book origins, and just kind of fill in the lore with an original idea, the actual basis for the film still works as a great spy film. So Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Richie, what do you say about Captain America: The Winter Soldier?
Yeah, I didn't think of this, and that's on me because at its core, this is a spy movie. And it's one of the better. Still holds that was one of the better solo MCU movies. Movie's fantastic. Absolutely, I would say yes.
Yeah, this is a yes for me. Like, this is the only MCU movie which is also a spy movie. And this is one that, like, when I saw this pop up on a list for me, it's like I didn't have to think anything of it. It's like, yep, it is next. Winter Soldier makes the list. Chris, what do you say about Winter Soldier?
Hell yes, the one I would like make sure it was officially spy movie because when I saw it, yeah, spy movie. great action, great suspense. The Bucky team really good. Robert Redford, great villain. Great humor. Like it, kind of game changer a lot for the MCU because with Hydra reveal and everything. And I loved it. And one of my favorite sequels in the MCU. My favorite Captain America movie. No offense to anybody who loves Civil War. I like this much better. But yeah, I love this film. It will always have been a yes for me, no matter what.
And Stephen, what would you say about Winter Soldier?
It's funny. I did not see this movie pop up in a couple of lists of spy movies, but I guess it absolutely does count. It's like probably the one MCU movie that would count for this, and it's always been one of my favorite of the MCU movies. So yeah, absolutely.
But with that, we move over to Richie. Richie, what is your next movie?
All right. I'm toying between one, which is not as obvious one. But I'll bring out the obvious one. Probably one of the better action movies that come out in a few years. But yeah, and one of the best installments of this franchise. I'm going to go Mission Impossible Fallout. I think this movie is fantastic. It's just a wild ride. Mission Impossible franchise has a way of like topping itself without sort of going to kind of maybe Fast and Furious territory where it kind of comes across as goofy. It's fantastic. Rebecca Ferguson's great. The whole cast. Simon Pegg is I think he's made to play this character. So yeah, I'll go Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout is an absolute yes for me. And like I got into Mission Impossible really late. Like I saw all the movies for the first time last year, and it was just a ride. Like there's at least 3 different Mission Impossible movies that could make this list by the time we finish. Yeah, that's an absolute yes for me. Chris, what do you say about Mission Impossible Fallout?
I mentioned from earlier about going for the obvious. I love this film. Any of them from this decade I actually do love, but this is probably my favorite out of them. Henry Cavill, really good villain there. Angela Bassett's great. Rebecca Ferguson. I hope they go with her and Tom Cruise in the next one. I love them bring back his love interest for number 3. I love the type up all of loose ends. I love this film. This is one I easily will rewatch every time, and it made me all of these jaw-dropping stunts he does. Like, especially the one that gave him that injury. Like, I love this film. So, hell yeah to Mission Impossible Fallout. Like,
Stephen, what do you say about Mission Impossible?
I'll say yes, but this is actually not my favorite of the Mission Impossibles from this decade, but it's still great. So and although there's one that I think I love slightly more, this one probably has overall a better villain and a better overall plot.
And Aaron, what would you say about Mission Impossible Fallout?
Yeah, similar to what I said about Salt, where it's like there's a group of female action films that are all kind of in the same ballpark, and at least one should make the list as a representative of all of them. I think much higher of the Mission Impossible films, but all 3 this decade have been within this decade have been really great action spy thrillers. I think the franchise has really, after 3 films that are kind of 3 varying tones, and it didn't really know what it quite wanted to be. I think they've really stabilized themselves and come back in a way that I don't think people would have thought it would have, when the second one almost killed the franchise. So yeah, I don't know quite if Fallout's my favorite. I've been meaning to give them all a rewatch, but they're all very, very good. So at least one should make the list.
But yeah, we move over to me for my next nomination. I'm actually going to go for my out of the left field pick here. Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw is what I'm going to bring up. This is one that it kind of is a spin-off from the Fast and Furious ones, but it's not a racing with cars and stuff. This is close to a spy thriller that Fast and Furious will probably get, and this is The Rock and Jason Statham actually make a compelling duo. And if The Rock's never going to return to the actual Fast and Furious main timelines movies, I really want them to continue the Hobbs and Shaw movie because I think as a spy movie, this one works. And it's actually a good movie. But Chris, what do you say about Hobbs and Shaw?
I didn't see that on the list, but after you brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of is a spy espionage movie. It's a really good movie. I want my Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Jason Statham, Ryan Reynolds team up in his Fast and Furious movie so badly now. The way they used Ryan Reynolds in this movie, I thought it was pretty funny. Maybe not so much to Kevin Hart, but I thought it did a very good villain. I like the family aspect. My only issue with it, and it bothered me on more rewatch, is the last half hour when they go like from daytime suddenly to nighttime all of a sudden. Like the suspension of disbelief with having the hour pass, like the whole final act, a little bit disbelief. But a fun movie. I love the way they ended it. I love a lot of the action sequence. I love the sister. I always forget the girl
Vanessa Kirby.
around, like, if I remember exactly. But I love everything about this film. But yes, for me, not everybody say no. I understand, but I went Malcolm. It's a really enjoyable movie.
Stephen, what do you say about Hobbs and Shaw?
You know, for most of the movie, Idris Elba is this ultimate villain, and they do kind of diminish him at the end when they introduce that voice in the for you know that he's more of a henchman now than the main villain. But I still love the movie, and I hope they do continue those two teaming up. So yeah, I'll definitely see yes.
Aaron, what do you say about Hobbs and Shaw?
The actress you're thinking of, Chris, Vanessa Kirby, is who plays the sister.
The girl from The Crown, I already know her.
From Pieces of a Woman.
I've been of the opinion that, like, maybe not quite yet, but starting with Fast 5, it made that when it was making that transition into action franchise by bringing in the angle of The Rock working as an intelligence agent, and in that one he's kind of trying to get the up on them, and then in the sixth one they're working together to kind of get the up on Luke Evans. I kind of feel like it started transitioning into like almost a spy, just very heightened action spy franchise with those films. With Hobbs and Shaw being kind of the pinnacle of that, and that it moves the furthest into it. So yeah, I'd say it's a very solid action film.
Richie, what do you say about Hobbs and Shaw?
It's funny when you brought that up. My instinct was to go no, but then as the listener got the rest of the panel, and then realizing how much I actually enjoyed this film, and it is when it comes down to it, it is a spy film. So I would have, you convinced me. I would have said yes.
But with that, we move back over to Chris. What is your next nomination?
So I want to go for something I think not a lot of people have seen. They just made a TV version of Amazon Prime of this. The movie a little bit better. Also, it's one of my favorite actors, freaking Stage Festival, and I go with Hannah. It's a small film by Joe Wright that came out early in 2010, but it's a very spy movie, like the trained by Eric Banner, in the wilderness, and now the government after her because they want to use her. Intense, a great cat and mouse game. It's a phenomenal performance for Saoirse Ronan. It continues to show me how much a phenomenal actress she is. You guys had not seen Hannah, I would really recommend it. And the villain is great. The intensity, it's also really good comedy with a lot of spy stuff added in as well. Eric Banner really good. Yeah, I gave it Hannah. When I saw it on the list of movies that has spy in it, I was really surprised. And I actually did love seeing theater.
Stephen, what do you say about Hannah?
Wow, this is another movie like Captain America: The Winter Soldier that didn't come up in either of the lists that I. But yeah, I guess it does count, and it is really good. And Saoirse Ronan is great, and Eric Bana, Kate Blanchett. It was directed by Edgar Wright, who I believe, right? and he there's some like really great scenes. So yeah, I'll say yes for him.
It's Joe White. Edgar White did it.
Joe, not Edgar Wright.
Yeah,
Yeah, Joe.
it's not
Yeah, he does it now.
I guess you could say Joe is the right.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you say about Hannah?
I have never seen this one, so I cannot put forth an opinion.
Richie, what do you say about Hannah?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think. I'm glad you brought this up because I think Hannah is it was really good, and yeah, it is. Yeah, like Kate Blanchett, Eric Bana, Saoirse Ronan, they're all really good. Yeah, and I think more people need to see it. Yeah, I would say yes.
I haven't seen this movie, but once again, it didn't come up on the list. But fun fact, the Chemical Brothers composed the score for the movie.
Okay.
You should find out three movies I recommend this movie. It's a very clever little, like not what you expect for a spy movie.
But regardless, it does make the list. Stephen, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
You know what? I'm going to bring up a movie that everyone's probably going to say no to because when it came out, it was highly anticipated, but considered to be a disappointment by a lot of people. But I enjoyed it a lot, and that's Jason Bourne. Yeah, I love this character.
Don't give it away, Chris.
I love this character, and I thought the movie was a really solid, enjoyable, action spy movie.
Aaron, what do you say about Jason Bourne?
See, I actually like the other Bourne film from this decade better. I think the Bourne Legacy is a better film. With that said, I don't think Jason Bourne is bad. I just think it's very underwhelming compared to the others. But you know what? I'm gonna chance this up to fate to see if somebody else agrees. I'm gonna say yeah, simply because I've maintained throughout tonight, some of the bigger franchises I think had good entries and they should have representation on the list. And unfortunately, Bourne's best films were at the 2010s, but I think Bourne influenced a lot of the films we're talking about tonight. So if this is the one that makes it, why not?
Richie, what do you say about Jason Bourne?
Yeah, I'm sort of there. I like the Bourne Legacy better. And I will say I do think Jason Bourne is bad. It just felt like it's just a shell of the other movies, and there's some of the decisions they make, and it's like and it's just for the most part, and like a Bourne movie shouldn't be boring. I found myself bored throughout this, so I understand like Matt Damon's really good as Jason Bourne, which had representation, but I just due to the quality of the movie, I can't say yes. I'm gonna say no.
There's a reason why in the early days of 2022, Matt Damon has sort of jumped to my most watched actor, and it's because I actually just watched all the Bourne movies for the first time this week, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate Jason Bourne. I think it's a good movie, and I really enjoyed it, but that could just be because I watched all the Bond movies sort of in a row, pretty basically. But I'm going to give it a yes. And because I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think any of the Bourne movies are actually bad. But Chris, what do you say about Jason Bourne?
Just get in no matter what I say, right?
It's in.
No, it's on the list, but
Yeah.
So I am a huge Jason Bourne fan. I read all of the books. I've seen all the movie. I even seen the show. This is not a good movie. I think it's probably that at his worst, and it's like the action scene of really you had to suspend your disbelief, especially the stuff at the end. I think it Tommy Lee Jones sleepwalking his way through the movie, and really sad to me because of how many and playing such a good villain stuff. And I think the way they treat it's really a style, right? I think the female
Yeah, the one that came back for this. Yes.
Yeah. The way they treated her, I thought was insulting. I think they could have done her character much better than what they do in this film. I think it's okay. Maybe I kind of an area I like Bourne Legacy a little bit more. I think that is a extremely underrated Bourne movie. Even though it does have Jason Bourne, but what I said no, I think this is my definition of really a huge letdown from this decade in terms of spy movie. Right.
We've got 2 spots left. Aaron, what was your next nomination?
So I was planning on actually bringing up Bourne Legacy, but since one's already on there, I'm not gonna. I'm stuck between a couple.
I believe.
All right, I'm gonna go for one just because this list so far of 10 entries, we have 9 action films. So I'm gonna go for something a little more cerebral. I'm gonna go for Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies. I think Spielberg has such a wide filmography that I think it'd be overstating it a little bit to say that it's one of his best. But I do think it's a very, very solid movie with another great performance from Tom Hanks. The star of this show is Mark Rylance. It's not very often an actor who's in their 50s or 60s legitimately has a breakout in their career. But I feel like this was the role that kind of broke Mark Rylance out. He had been around for many years, screen actor, stage actor. I'm sure he'd done a lot of great work, but just nobody really knew who he was, and I think it encompassed everything that in the general population, people were, what? Who's that guy? And he beat Stallone for the Oscar? What? Because I think Stallone was the people's favorite that year. But his performance is truly incredible in this. It's some great direction work from Spielberg. I think it's maybe the only script the Coens ever helped write that they didn't direct that actually turned out to be a good film, because that's actually a really bad track record when you look at it. Most of their scripts that they don't direct don't turn into good films. And yeah, it's the definition of a spy film, but it's, again, kind of like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's a spy film that's not reliant on spy action to deliver its premise.
Richie, what do you say about Bridge of Spies?
Yeah, I acknowledge that Tom Hanks and Mark Rylance are really good in this film. I was just quite bored by it, and I was surprised I was bored by it, considering it's also written by one of the Coen brothers, and I like that sort of dialogue. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't grab me the way I wanted it to, and I sort of found myself trying to prop myself awake a lot when I was in the theater. So I'm going to say no, especially because we're near the end of the list. I think there's a couple more that are more entertaining. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie completely. The one time that I've seen it, it was used as a case study for a church sermon that I watched, because we did a series called Church in the Movies, where they took just a movie and looked at it from a religious perspective and Bible comparisons, which was weird. But that being said, I haven't seen the full movie, so I can't comment on the actual movie. Chris, what do you say about Bridge of Spies?
I don't have to say no. I think just because we're down to 2, I think there's one better kind of spy drama out there. I don't have to say no for me at all. Why? But I like Bridge of Spies a lot. I do. I just think not my favorite Spielberg, and not my favorite spy drama from this decade.
Stephen, what do you say about Bridge of Spies?
Unfortunately, I have not seen it. This is one movie that ever since it came out, I've been meaning to watch and really want to watch, but just for whatever reason, haven't gotten around to it yet.
But if that Bridge of Spies doesn't make the list, Richie, we move over to you.
So I'm torn between 2 here. One was on my. I'm going to bring that up. And maybe it'll come back to me. Who knows? But I bring up a movie that was on my top 64. And on Movie Hero channel. on it, and it is definitely a spy movie when you boil it down. I'm gonna go with Atomic Blonde. I think this movie is fantastic. I think Charlize Theron is fantastic in it. James McAvoy is fantastic in it. The stairs, like going up the stair scene alone, just the way that's shot is just fantastic. And yeah, I understand that maybe some people wouldn't sort of consider it full on spy thing, but I definitely think it's worth a conversation. So, Atomic Blonde.
I haven't seen Atomic Blonde, Chris.
I think it a fine movie. I think it had one great action scene. I think like to the end of one shot take. I don't love it that much. I think the music really didn't me out the movie so much. The soundtrack itself is very distracting. She tried to find in there. I think Dave McAvoy honestly is the best thing about it. They say no. It'd be down to that too. Like,
Stephen, what do you say about Atomic Blonde?
I actually was starting to watch it earlier today, but I didn't have time to watch the whole thing. I was only able to get in one full movie today, and Atomic Blonde was my second attempt for a second movie, but I wasn't able to see it all, so I will have to abstain.
And Aaron, what would you have said about Atomic Blonde?
I think this is, as I kind of aforementioned earlier, the like series of there's multiple female spy-led films that are good but not great. I think this is the best of that group, but I do think Chris is correct in that I feel like it's a good film that is kind of dominated by one legitimately incredible action sequence. That staircase sequence is really, really well done. But kind of with the others, I do think there are slightly better out there. But a solid film, and I do agree with you, worth bringing up.
But that being said, it moves over to me, and I'm going to go for another Tom Cruise movie that's not a Mission Impossible movie. I'm bringing up Night and Day. This is his second collaboration with Cameron Diaz. And it's and Cameron Diaz plays this character who gets caught up with the Tom Cruise's character, Roy Miller, who's on the one from the CIA. And I think this is a fairly underrated Tom Cruise movie. Like I really enjoyed it. This is one that I actually wanted to rewatch, just didn't have time. But I think this is a really fun spy movie. It's not typically a spy movie, but it's a lot of fun. And yeah, Chris, what do you say about Night and Day?
I think it's a fun, cheesy film. I think we once again down on 2. I feel like and much like some of what we're saying. I think it's fine. I think it had funny moments. Again, it's funny. I do have to say no. We down on 2. I think if we had brought it up earlier in my head, said yes. I just feel like I need to be picky about what we choose for last 2.
Stephen, what do you say about Night and Day?
For me, it's definitely a yes. This probably would have been my next pick, actually. And yeah, I've always loved this movie. Not my favorite James Mangold movie, but still a great movie from him. And Cameron Diaz, Cruz and Diaz have a great chemistry, and it's definitely a yes for me.
Aaron, what do you say about Night and Day? I'm not really a fan of this movie. I think it's fine at best. I just think it's 2 stars that are going more on charisma than character. The action is solid, but it's nothing new. There's nothing inventive there. This isn't even a case of like there's only 2 spots left. I don't think I would have said yes anyways. So I'm gonna say no.
And Richie, it's all on you. What do you say about A Night and Day?
Yeah, sorry, Malcolm. I'm sort of with Aaron. yeah, like it's fun. Like like you can watch it for like the charisma of Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, and I do have a soft spot for Cameron Diaz. I think that I'll sort of always watch her movies because she's in it. I kind of wish she'd come back to acting it, but yeah. With 2 spots left, I can't justify putting this on this. It's a fun movie. You can make the argument underrated, but best spy movies of the 2010s. No.
Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Should I go with you? Now, can I fake it? Espionage movie count as spy movie, right?
Yes.
Okay. I do go between two of my list. I do go with. I do go with the one that not a lot of people bring up. I do think it's full of great performance. Before this year, I think this was honestly this past year one of my favorite performances for this actor. I think it's an interesting true story, but especially finally trying to figure out the code during World War II. I do with Imitation Game. Because I had to double check to make sure it count as a spy espionage movie, but it does. But it does. Then trying to figure out the code that we're using to World War II. I think it coming back. Before Paradox was probably my favorite performance for him. I think he's great. I think everybody in the cast is great. I think it's an incredible true story. I think, and not what you think typical spy drama, but I had to double check. Does it count on the list? I think a few times. So I give it Imitation Game.
Stephen, what do you say about Imitation Game?
I have not seen it, and it didn't come up in any of the lists of spy movies that I looked for this decade.
Aaron, what do you say about the Imitation Game?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say yes. I think this fits kind of exactly the bill of what I was kind of going for with Bridge of Spies, where it's something a little more cerebral. It's not something that relies on action sequences to get its spy point across. He's literally code breaking for spies in World War II, so it's definitely a spy film, even if it's not what the traditional like algorithm for a spy film is. And it is a really great performance, and it's a really well told story of a very interesting true story, for both what he did and the personal aspects of his life and what he dealt with at that time. So I'd say yeah.
Richie, what do you say about the Imitation Game?
Yeah, I didn't even think about this, but yeah, it's not a traditional spy movie in that sense, but yeah, it's definitely a spy movie, and yeah, this movie is fantastic. I always champion this movie. Like Bennett Cumberbatch's best performance. But I wasn't on my radar, but I really should have thought about it. But yes, I would say yes.
This is one that I also didn't think about myself. Made the list regardless. So I don't have an issue of saying no because I liked it enough. I don't think I would have personally said yes for it to be in here, but it's made the list anyway.
There were two films out there and I had to look at both of them, which would do well. Make you sure.
But that being said, we move over to Stephen. What is your next nomination?
You know what? I'll bring up the movie that I just watched today. That for specifically for this. That was also mentioned to you by I can't remember. When you were on one of Jordan's shows, I forget, but Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is I didn't think the Man from U.N.C.L.E. was great, but I thought it was fun, and I think Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill and Alicia Vikander are have great chemistry, and so it's a tad on the anticlimactic side at the end, but I still overall really enjoyed it. So I will go with Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Aaron, what do you say about the Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
So with this, I'm going to officially begin my petition to revoke my vote for the Jason Bourne pick. But with The Man from U.N.C.L.E., yeah, I would say yes. I think it's a really fun film. I think Henry Cavill does a great job. I think, obviously we're in the market for a new James Bond, and I think a lot of people seem to favor him, and Idris Elba is the other one that a lot of people seem to favor. And I feel like this movie is his audition tape, playing, I believe it's Napoleon Solo. This feels like his audition tape for Bond, aside from the actual audition tape he made back in like 2004. But this is, it's a really great film. I think he gives a great performance. Cannibal Hollywood also does a great job in this film. Alicia Vikander does a really good job coming off the back of Ex Machina. What's her name? Elizabeth Debicki's the bad little guy. She's also very good. Yeah, I think it's not Guy Ritchie's best, and I don't think it's like a top 5 spy film, but it embodies spy. It's fun. Its action is really well directed. So I would say, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what was so what Chris found funny.
I was just saying that.
Cannibal Hollywood. Because Armie Hammer. I think that's working. Anyway.
But anyway, Richie, what do you say about the Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Yeah. I actually, when I was tossed between two movies and I brought up Atomic Blonde, Man from U.N.C.L.E. was the other movie. I think this movie got maybe too much flack when it came out. I think it's actually really quite fun. I like how Hugh Grant sort of like reinvented himself. He used to be this like the go-to rom-com guy. Now he's sort of like this sort of all these sort of go-to spy movies. Like he's great. He's great in this, and he's also great like The Gentleman and stuff like that. But this is a fun movie, and maybe some people might not be if you haven't watched it, maybe have trouble watching it with Armie Hammer. But yeah, I don't know. He's good. He's good in this movie. So I'll say yes.
But that being said, Man from U.N.C.L.E. makes the list and closes out the 12. I personally haven't got around to seeing it, but I was actually going to do something unprecedented. I was going to say yes because Adam Ritt told me to make sure it gets on the list, but I don't have to. Yeah. Chris, what did you say about Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
With the other film we were debating, I went with drama more than this, but I love the Man from U.N.C.L.E. I remember having so much fun in theater watching this with my dad. I think it's fun, entertaining. I want to see a sequel to this more than I want to see a sequel to another Sherlock Holmes. I think the cast is overall great. It's funny, it's entertaining. Even Armie Hammer himself, his chemistry with Alicia Vikander is really good. The running gag with is really good, funny running gag in the film. And it's just entertaining. Like, this is the primary that I didn't know what to go expecting, but it came out with a smile on my face, laughing a lot, enjoying the action. Henry Cavill should be James Bond after the Mission Impossible. Like beyond. Like, yeah. Great movie to declare the last one on the list.
Sadly, I think Armie Hammer might be the reason that this won't ever get a sequel unless they recast that one.
It didn't do very well at the box office either.
Well, that too, but even now, I don't think it's going to get sequels because
Armie Hammer is the tooth and nail in the coffin.
Yeah,
I mean, the movie came out in 2015, so if it was going to get a sequel, it would have been.
They could have made a sequel already. Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, Chris, Guy Ritchie's not doing the third Sherlock Holmes anymore either. It's Dexter Fletcher, so you can't say he chose it over this.
I like Dexter Fletcher.
But that being said,
I like Dexter Fletcher.
That being said, the 12 movies that made this real: Untitled Soldier, Spy, Kingsman, Secret Service, Spies, Skyfall, Salt, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Mission Impossible, Fallout, Hobbs and Shaw, Hannah, Jason Bourne, The Imitation Game, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Chris, what honorable mentions did you have?
The other comedy I'm struggling with. I think it's a movie not a lot of people have seen, but I think it's a guilty pleasure of mine. American Ultra with Jesse Eisenberg and Christian Stewart. Got it. It's a really fucking funny movie, and I think it's a good spy comedy. I'll go another one because we mentioned espionage. I struggle with Argo a little bit, but I think it's a really good movie. I And then a bunch of things on the list, but I don't think it's by American made, and a few others I do like. But yeah, those are the three in my head. And Mission Impossible 4 and 5 I do love as well. Like yeah, those are the only one on my list.
Stephen, what honorable mentions did you have?
Well, in retrospect, I probably should have brought up the Bourne Legacy instead of Jason Bourne, because it looks like that probably would have been more of a favorite for people.
Can we vote to change?
No.
Fair enough.
Also, my favorite of the Mission Impossibles was actually Ghost Protocol.
It's a great one too.
One movie that I didn't bring up because I wasn't even sure if it counted as a spy movie, although it was on a couple lists, is Fair Game from Doug Liman and starring Naomi Watts and Sean Penn.
Good movie.
Yeah. I think it's a great movie, and I would have brought it up, but I'm not sure if it counted as a spy movie.
I almost bought an Official Secret, the Keira Knightley one. It also really one.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one, but that looked good too. American Assassin with Dylan O'Brien and Michael Keaton is a fun movie of its kind. The Take, also known in other countries as Bastille Day with Idris Elba and John Madden, I thought was generic but entertaining. Speaking of another movie that's kind of generic but entertaining, there was also Erased with Aaron Eckhart, and I really enjoyed as a guilty pleasure the 2019 Charlie's Angels with Patrick Stewart as the bad guy, which you don't see that often. He's done it a couple times, but you don't really see it that often, and he's fun as the main villain. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Aaron,
Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit was pretty decent too.
Aaron, what honorable mentions did you have?
A lot of them are like some of the blockbusters that didn't come up. I did think about sequels and other franchise entries to films, but to kind of go with, because I did say, and I didn't get to talk about as many as I wanted, but I had like a list of weird non-traditional choices. Another one that I kind of put on here that I am upset I didn't get to bring up is kind of in the vein of Winter Soldier, but Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, which I would argue is Star Wars' most legitimate attempt at doing a spy film. They are literally attempting to steal information. I had a couple other of those thrillers. The Imitation Game was on that list. The other two that I had were, as Chris mentioned, Official Secrets, which is a film from Gavin Hood, who is most famous, unfortunately, for directing X-Men Origins Wolverine. But outside of being a studio bitch, he's actually a really good director. Eye in the Sky is another great one with Alan Rickman that people should check out if they haven't seen. But Official Secrets was really good. I also didn't mind Snowden from Oliver Stone, which I would also count as like an espionage film. He literally legally broke the Espionage Act in the US, so I would count that. And then I had a couple animated ones as well. Despicable Me 2 isn't as good as the first, but it's a solid enough film, and it does integrate the spy aspect really well. And I actually like Spies in Disguise with Will Smith and Tom Holland. That's another animated one where it's like, that's just a fun, kid-friendly spy adventure that I do think is better than it has any right to be.
What honorable mentions did you have?
I'm going to get a couple. Steven Soderbergh movie Haywire with Gina Carano. That's a good movie. It's really good. She's mainly into the action scenes, but it's, beyond that, it's a really solid spy movie. Also, like for comedy aspects, just probably more guilty pleasure, but it's a decent movie. The Spy Who Dumped Me with Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon. It's fun. It's a fun movie. But yeah, those are and I guess the other Mission Impossible movies, but those are the main two I want to bring up.
I mean, let's face it, this list could have mostly been Mission Impossible, Bourne, Kingsman, and Bond, if we really wanted to, because, but yeah, like for me, the other two Mission Impossibles was on my list. I did not take Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I really enjoyed that movie, and I actually just rewatched this morning. This Means the War with Chris Pine and Reese
Oh, yeah, that's a good movie.
Witherspoon and Tom Hardy is a fun romantic comedy about two spies falling in love dating the same woman. And just as a pick, which I'm not too sure how many people have seen this, Johnny English Strikes Again is probably
That's
is a really fun movie. I mean, I like Reborn as well, but I think the recent Strikes Again is the better one. And one I actually just watched for the first time, which I think is fine, is it's called The East. It's got Elliot Page in it, and a bunch of other people. And I was considering bringing up as a joke Spy Kids All the Time in the World, but I'm pretty sure that I knew where that would have gone.
Yeah, that would have been a fat no for me. Even as Spy Kids.
Joel McHale's best performance. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I mean, it might be his best performance. Oh no, wait, he was Community.
I hope it's not. That's a sad career pinnacle, isn't it?
And in the chat we got Brian who brought up Johnny English Reborn and MacGruber. MacGruber is one that I don't really think it's so much a spy movie.
I think it's more of an action
movie.
and it leans into parody as well. So I don't know.
The TV show actually is funny, the new one.
But now we get into the fun part of actually voting.
All right.
Yeah, I already know I have mine for.
I was gonna say I feel like a lot of us are gonna gravitate to the same one last, but and then somebody goes and puts Mission Impossible, and it's like, what?
Chris, what do you have at 12?
This should not even be on the list. Jason Bourne.
Stephen.
I went with Spy.
Aaron.
The franchise had a great run, not its brightest moment. Jason Bourne.
Richie.
Jason Bourne.
I actually had the Imitation Game. But Jason Bourne is going to be last.
Okay, I'm going with this one now. Another movie that been on this list.
Okay, the one that I really
Chris
want to bring up
vehemently
has no
disagrees
chance.
with us, clearly.
No, that's some movie I don't love as much as you guys. And this one maybe I need to revisit it. Why?
Stephen, what do you have for 11?
I'm sticking with Spy, since there's no way I know Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is going to be getting out this early.
It's not because I don't like it, it's because I haven't seen it. Hannah.
Richie.
Hobbs and Shaw.
The Imitation Game. Chris.
Let go. So I don't love as much as you guys.
So we got a 5-way tie. So, Brian, if you're in the chat, Imitation Game, Spy, Salt, Hobbs and Shaw, and Hannah, which one do you think should be 11? I'm going to get the wheel set up in the meantime.
I don't remember what ending I saw on DVD. Nothing against all just seeing one of the movies that didn't need 3 alternate endings. Watch.
Actually, didn't it? If I remember correctly, isn't like the second half of the movie was completely different?
Yeah, on the DVD, completely different than what was shown in theater. And you did get different ending with the movie. That like we didn't need like 3 different endings for this.
All right, hold on, Malcolm. Since we don't have the comment, I can offer you a tiebreaker. Since I only voted for mine because I haven't seen it, what were your guys for again? And I'll change my vote.
Oh, I was actually going to get the wheel up, which I just finished.
The wheel. That's all good.
Let's go to the mill.
Oh, okay, that works too.
Oh man! Wow.
Wow.
So what won?
The
Imitation.
Imitation Game.
Oh, okay.
That feels sad. Mhm. Mm-mm.
Bless you.
Thanks. Although that was a cough, not a sneeze. But still.
Um,
Thanks.
Stephen, what do you have for a 10?
I'm still sticking with Spy.
Aaron,
I switched it up. I went salt.
Richie,
I stick with Hobbs and Shaw.
I went salt. Chris,
Yeah, I'll let you clue. You don't need the alternate ending to watch the film.
What if what you saw was just the original ending and there's just so many endings you thought it was alternate?
I mean, it's like there's like a billion versions of like Blade Runner, right?
I'll let you clue of Rainbow. I don't think you need that many.
I mean, there's a lot of versions of Apocalypse Now as well.
Which one to go with? Now get it tougher. You know what? Okay, I'm going with.
It's a long one, folks.
Aaron, what do you have for
Replacement.
9?
I just went back to the one I haven't seen, Hannah.
Richie,
I stuck with Hobbs and Shaw.
I went Spy. Chris,
I'm going to go with Richie here. I think I much love this movie. I think all the stupidness in the ending is kind of fat.
Stephen.
We have a tie because I was still stuck with Spy.
So, Aaron, you're the odd one out. Spy or Hobbs and Shaw?
One is less spy than the other, Hobbs and Shaw.
Nothing thing a spy movie like putting a bunch of cars with hanging onto a helicopter in daylight, then it's only nighttime. All of a sudden.
Now listen here, you can talk about the nighttime thing all you like, but that car thing was beautiful, all right?
It was, but then it suddenly turned nighttime and it was already daytime a long time.
That means they put work in.
I mean, it's going to take ages to helicopter cars down across the city. But anyway, Richie, what do you have for 8?
All right, I had Man from Uncle.
I put Spy. Chris.
Yeah, going with Man from Uncle. I liked it from a lot, but not in my top.
Stephen.
Spy.
Aaron.
Well, I kept Hannah, so I guess I'm choosing again.
Spy or Man from Uncle?
I'm going to go with Spy this time.
Okay.
This is
Could have
fun when
be
you have
so many
power.
ties and spies.
What I'm getting from this is Hannah must be a really good film because I keep winning this way by virtue of not having seen it.
I mean,
honestly,
in my defense, I don't vote movies I haven't seen unless I feel like it's at a point where these left are.
Oh, that's fair.
But
the TV show not that
that
bad.
that being said, the movies we have left, we've got Tina Taylor, Soldier Spy, Kingsman, Skyfall, Winter Soldier, Mission Impossible Fallout, Hannah, and The Man from Uncle.
Oh, I feel good about this. All my top 6 are left when I ranked them myself, and then Hannah.
Richie, what do you have for 7?
I kept Man from Uncle.
I read Hannah. Chris.
We might have to go to tiebreaker, Man from Uncle.
Stephen,
Man from Uncle.
Aaron,
Hannah.
the Man from Uncle is going to be 7.
Okay. Oh, I did get crucified for this. About this.
But I've just got Hannah, Chris,
Kingsman and Secret Service.
Stephen,
Kingsman.
Aaron,
Hannah.
Richie,
Hannah.
Hannah is going
There
to
it
be
goes.
6.
You guys need to watch Hannah and you haven't seen it.
Says the person who tried to put Kingsman Secret Service really low.
Really low. 6 is the halfway mark.
Hey, it's been on the list to allow people to check out for the first time when the posts go up. Then I'd be happy with that.
I don't care what order these go in. My top 5 are the top 5. So
But Chris, what do you have?
I just to go with Kingsman Secret Service. Like, I love this film, but nobody near at the top of it.
Stephen,
Well, I'm going with the movie that I always thought was overrated, and that's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Aaron,
I say Kingsman.
Richie,
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
just because I haven't seen it, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
There it is. Oh.
Yeah, Aaron, I guess you and me, I'm like the only person.
If it makes you feel better, Chris, I would have voted for it next if Kingsman had gone out. So I guess that wouldn't make you feel better, but either way.
But we've got Kingsman, Skyfall, Winter Soldier, and Fallout left.
Actually, you already just took out my number one from the list for 5.
Stephen, what do you have?
Kingsman.
Aaron,
Kingsman.
Richie,
Kingsman.
I put the Winter Soldier. Chris,
Kingsman.
That was almost unanimous.
Okay.
Now this is where it gets really tough.
Got Skyfall with the children. Okay. I had to follow this so I'd ever go with it.
Aaron, what do you have for 3?
Mission Impossible Fallout.
Richie,
Winter Soldier.
the Winter Soldier. Chris,
Just because I go home alone at the end, I wish Harvey about to have my cooler death. Skyfall.
like we have-
Stephen.
Looks like we have a tie. Fallout.
So Chris, Fallout or the Winter Soldier at 3?
You went to the real. Try to see which one I please. I'd like to do my favorite children here right now.
If you
Is
could
that
be
not
advised,
easy?
Who are your favorite children? So is there a couple of children? You know, it's like,
I thought I just love the Fallout. I love Winter Soldier so much. It's just my favorite MCU sequel. I can't not put a number.
Chris, they're
Like
both
they-
in the top 3.
Yeah, and like they like treating my favorite children be treated too.
All right, so
Now
we
we're
write our
voting
number
for
1, right?
one.
We do right here, number 1.
Man, what if my number one's just been fucking put on number 3? Anyway, thank you. Anyway,
Yeah, it's not like we all hate Fallout.
I love Fallout. It just I ever had to think there for a moment. Like they both.
It made it higher than Jason Bourne. So
I think the top 3 is actually really a solid top 3.
Mission Impossible Fallout is my exact number 3.
same.
But
so what's it between?
Skyfall or Winter Soldier?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm going to go to Chris because I'm pretty sure I know what his number 1 is based on what he tried
It's
to get.
my favorite action sequel. Some of my favorite action scene. The Winter Soldier.
Stephen,
My favorite Bond, Skyfall.
Aaron,
I mean, I'm the reason Winter Soldier came up, but Skyfall.
Richie,
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
Yeah, following that sort of putting Winter Soldier to bed.
And the best British Home Alone of the 2 wins this.
You know what? What I made it number 1 is Sean Connery actually agreed to come back for that cameo that you talk about.
Oh, but I loved Albert Finney in that.
Yeah, I did too. I just that would have been cooler if they had Sean Connery came back that one. And I bet they gave them a much better death than just a knife to the back.
But just to recap our top 12, at number 12, we have Jason Bourne. At number 11, we've got The Imitation Game. At 10, we got Salt. At 9, we got Hobbs and Shaw. At 8, we got Spy. At 7, we got The Man from U.N.C.L.E. At 6, we got Hannah. At 5, we got Tina Taylor, Soldier Spy. At 4, we got Kingsman, The Secret Service. At 3, we got Mission Impossible Fallout. At 2, we got Captain America, Winter Soldier. And at number 1, we got Skyfall, aka James Bond is Home Alone.
It's a better Home Alone movie from
Home Alone.
Home
with,
Alone, Scotland
with
Yard.
M and our first character.
That being said, I've got the poll up on the Take 3 page for what you want next week's topic to be. Chris, we can people find you online.
my favorite YouTube. My Letterboxd. I'm putting my reviews up there all the time. I put my stuff recently for either Tammy Faye and the other thing. And stay tuned. I did try to see Scream this week, so I'll probably have my review up sometime soon.
Stephen, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Letterboxd on sshepherd82 and all of the other various social medias with just my name.
Aaron, where can people find you online?
I would say TMG Entertainment is the YouTube channel. Obviously, we have a trivia sector on TMG Trivia, but I personally run Movie Battleground, which is a movie debate. We pit friends against each other and make enemies. On this panel alone, Malcolm is a competitor, Chris is a competitor, Richie is an upcoming competitor to make his debut slightly down the road. And we just had our second with official branding now, the Battleground Blitz, which is a double upload event we do every couple of months. And I'm actually playing in one of those matches that just went up if you want to go see me debate some movies. So there are 2 new matches up tonight, every Thursday and Saturday is when they go up.
Richie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me just all on the trivia spaces. I'm often on Jordan Owen's channel, PS Wrestling, just doing random trivia there. And in the midst of a singles tournament in TNG. So and just shot a match. It should be up soonish. And I'm always on movie discussion shows like Movie Hero. Like John Harris's channel. You can find me around the place.
Stephen, did I go to you for plugs?
Yes.
I got themes I'd skip you, but anyway, you can find me on Tape Productions where I host Rankum every Saturday night. Next week's topic still be decided. When I put the poll up for this one up, then that'll be when it'll be announced. You can find me hosting late night. I haven't decided when that's coming back yet, but it will be eventually. And you can also find wherever there's stuff happening on YouTube via StreamYard or Zoom or stuff, you might find me there. Because I pop up just about everywhere these days. But that being said, until next time, keep listening shit.